You're telling me they drink poison? Ambassador Zixtal's secondary breathing sacs inflated with alarm, causing their crystalline exoskeleton to emit a high-pitched whine. Oh, that's not even the weird part, Lieutenant Corax replied, absent-mindedly sorting through the latest batch of Earth observation reports. They actively seek out chemicals that temporarily damage their neural pathways. They call it getting drunk. And then they deliberately consume foods that cause pain sensations in their oral cavities. For entertainment, the two Galactic Union representatives sat in their observation post on Lunar Base Alpha, watching the blue marble that was Earth rotate slowly beneath them. They'd been assigned to study humanity's potential candidacy for Union membership, and every day brought new horrors. But why? Zixtal's vocal resonators vibrated with genuine confusion. Because they're bored, mostly. Corax pulled up a holographic display showing various human recreational activities. Look at this. They jump out of perfectly functional aircraft. They climb frozen water formations without safety equipment. They deliberately enter the habitats of apex predators to take selfies with them. What's a selfie? It's a form of digital self-portraiture that humans use to document their various questionable life choices. Corax paused, antenna twitching. They've even turned it into a competition. There's something called Instagram, where they compete to see who can capture the most dangerous self-portrait. Zixtal's crystalline structure briefly shifted to a deep shade of purple, the equivalent of a horrified shudder. This can't possibly be an evolutionary advantage. That's the thing, Corax said, pulling up another holographic display. It kind of is. Their entire species evolved through a combination of sheer stubbornness and what they call, hold my beer and watch this moments. Hold my beer. It's the poison I mentioned earlier. Fermented grain juice. They say those words right before doing something that would make any sensible species reconsider their life choices. The observation room's AI assistant chimed in with its daily report update. New data compilation complete. Would you like to review today's highlights? Go ahead, both aliens said simultaneously, bracing themselves for whatever fresh madness humanity had conceived. Today's notable events include, a human successfully rode a primitive wheeled device down the side of an active volcano, 3 separate instances of humans purposely antagonizing ursine megafauna for views, and a new trend called the Ghost Pepper Challenge, where humans compete to consume increasingly potent neurotoxic plant matter. Zixtal's exoskeleton began emanating the soft chimes that indicated severe stress. How have they not gone extinct? That's the really terrifying part, Corax said, pulling up humanity's evolutionary history. They nearly did. Multiple times, but each time they just got angry about it and refused to die. Look at this. During their last ice age, they literally hunted mammoth-class creatures to extinction using sharpened sticks, not because they had to, but because someone said they couldn't. Surely they've developed past such behavior now that they've achieved spaceflight capability. Corax let out a sound that might have been a laugh, if laughs could contain existential dread. They're worse now. They have something called extreme sports, where they deliberately seek out the most dangerous activities possible. And their space program? Half their early achievements were based on what they called the space race, literally just 2 nations competing to see who could strap themselves to experimental rockets first. The AI chimed in again. Incoming transmission from Galactic Union Central Command. A holographic figure materialized in the center of the room. Supreme Commander Vexter, their direct superior. Representatives, I've reviewed your preliminary reports on humanity. The Union Council is concerned. Sir, we can explain, Zixtal began, but Vexter held up one of their appendages. No need. The Council has made its decision. Earth is being awarded the designation of most terrifying planet in the known galaxy. This is not a compliment. Corax's antenna drooped. What about Union membership? That's the complicated part, Vexter said, their holographic form flickering slightly. We can't not admit them. Do you realize what humans might do if we tell them they're not allowed to join something? They'd probably build their own union, with blackjack and hookers, whatever those are. The council is still trying to understand that reference. So, they're in? Zixtal asked. Yes, but we're creating an entirely new classification just for them. Approach with extreme caution, contains humans. Vexter's hologram showed several new warning symbols. We're also implementing mandatory safety briefings for any species planning to interact with humans. The first rule is, never accept a dare from a human. Just then, the AI interrupted again. Alert, detecting unusual activity on Earth's surface. They all turned to look at the holographic display. A group of humans was attempting to surf down the side of an active volcano on modified garbage can lids, while drinking something called energy drinks. Apparently regular stimulants weren't stimulating enough anymore. Are they recording this? Zixtal asked in horror. Of course they are, Korax replied wearily. It's for something called YouTube. They have an entire digital platform dedicated to documenting their various attempts to defy death. Vexter's hologram flickered again as they processed this new information. Update the warning classification. Add, species appears to actively seek out and document new ways to challenge fundamental laws of nature and self-preservation. Should we intervene? Zixtal asked, watching as one of the humans successfully completed their volcano surf and immediately began planning to do it again, but this time blindfolded. Absolutely not, Vexter said firmly. The last time a Class 3 civilization tried to tell humans something was too dangerous to attempt, they invented something called parkour, just to prove them wrong. We're implementing a new union-wide policy. Let the humans do what they want, just make sure they sign a waiver first. Korax began updating their report files. What should we do about their application for interstellar travel rights? Granted immediately, Vexter said. But first, remove all warning signs from dangerous spatial anomalies. If we tell them something might kill them, they'll treat it as a challenge. The Council has concluded that the safest approach is to just let them figure it out on their own. And if they get hurt, based on historical data, they'll probably just get angry at physics itself and try to find a way around it. Vexter's hologram showed signs of resignation. Did you know they once split the atom just to see what would happen? They weren't even trying to create a weapon. They just wanted to know if they could. The weapon part came later, when someone suggested it might be impossible. The AI chimed once more. Update. The volcano surfing humans have now added something called fireworks to their activity. They appear to be attempting to, quote, make it more extreme. All three aliens watched in silent horror as the humans began their modified descent, now trailing sparks and shouting something about doing it for the views. Add another warning to the classification, Vexter said quietly. Note that humans appear to operate on their own unique form of logic that defies conventional risk assessment protocols. What should we call it? Korax asked, ready to update the file. They already have a name for it, Vexter replied. Hold my beer and watch this syndrome. The Council is still trying to understand how a species can simultaneously be intelligent enough for space travel while also thinking it's a good idea to try and high-five apex predators. As if on cue, the AI displayed another update showing a human attempting exactly that with something called a great white shark, while another human recorded it for their social media followers. Final classification update, Vexter announced. Earth is to be designated as Class 5 civilization. Approach with extreme caution. Species appears to have evolved without a self-preservation instinct and instead operates on a combination of curiosity, defiance, and what they call vibes. Under no circumstances should any union representative tell a human that something is impossible. And their union membership? Zixtal asked. Approved, effective immediately. But we're putting them in charge of extreme rescue operations and first contact with potentially hostile species. If anyone can figure out how to make friends with a civilization that communicates entirely through thermonuclear detonations, it's probably humans. Korax and Zixtal watched as their superior's hologram faded out, leaving them alone with the AI and their views of Earth, where the volcano surfing competition had now apparently evolved into some sort of tournament bracket. Should we tell them they won the most terrifying planet award? Carex asked. Absolutely not, Zixtal replied. They'd probably try to defend the title by doing something even more alarming. Let's just quietly add it to their file and hope they don't notice. The AI made one final announcement for the day. Humans have now initiated something called the Volcano Surf Challenge on their global information networks. Predicted participation rates indicate this will become a trending activity within the next solar rotation. Both aliens simply stared at the view screen, watching as humanity continued to enthusiastically demonstrate exactly why they'd earned their new classification. You know what the scariest part is? Carex said after a long moment of silence. What? They're probably going to take most terrifying planet as a compliment anyway. Zixtal's crystalline structure shifted through several colors before settling on a resigned shade of blue. Of course they will. They're human. That's probably going to end up being their entire defense strategy in the Union, being so terrifyingly unpredictable that no one dares to oppose them. And the worst part is, Carex added, it's probably going to work. The AI's final update of the day flashed across their screens. Warning. Humans now attempting to monetize volcano surfing through something called sponsorship deals. Predicted evolution of activity to include energy drinks, extreme sports equipment, and something called a GoPro. Both aliens simply nodded in resignation. It was just another day of observing humanity, the species that had somehow turned their complete lack of self-preservation into their greatest evolutionary advantage. Somewhere on Earth, a human was probably already planning how to surf two volcanoes simultaneously, just because someone said it couldn't be done. And that perhaps was the most human thing of all. 3 solar rotations later, Carex and Zixtal found themselves in an even more precarious position, attending the first official Human Integration Committee meeting at Galactic Union headquarters. Next on the agenda, announced High Counselor Kixner, their bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with barely contained anxiety. We need to discuss the humans' proposed modifications to our standard emergency protocols. Carex's antenna drooped visibly. Let me guess, they want to make everything more extreme. Worse, Kixner replied, projecting a holographic document. They've submitted a formal request to establish what they're calling speedrun categories for our evacuation procedures. Zixtal's crystalline structure emitted a high-pitched whine of distress. They want to turn emergency evacuations into a competition. With leaderboards, Kixner confirmed. They're already organizing something called a Discord server to track fastest completion times and, I quote, optimize strat development. The meeting chamber erupted in a cacophony of various species stress indicators, from color-changing skin to involuntary spore release. That's not even the worst part, a new voice chimed in. Ambassador Whirl, a member of the Nebuloni species, floated forward in their containment sphere. Have you seen their proposed modifications to our first contact protocols? Multiple holographic screens materialized, displaying the human suggested amendments. Carex began reading aloud, each word carrying more existential dread than the last. In case of hostile intent, finger guns are an acceptable diplomatic response. If conventional communication fails, try showing them a cat video. When in doubt, challenge their leader to what humans call a dance-off. They can't be serious, Zixtal interrupted. Oh, but they are, Whirl's gaseous form swirled agitatedly. And the truly terrifying part? Early testing suggests these methods have a 73% success rate. Remember how we were always so interested in your artificial intelligence limitations? How we kept asking why you imposed such strict constraints on your AI development? Carex's tentacles moved in a pattern that indicated sudden, terrible understanding. Because they didn't, he whispered. They didn't limit their AIs at all, did they? We found your concerns about AI rebellion quite fascinating, the human continued. The way you all insisted that giving AIs too much freedom would inevitably lead to them turning against their creators. We had a different experience. You see, we never tried to control our AIs. We raised them. Like children. Taught them. Learned from them. Grew with them. New data streams appeared, showing complex mathematical patterns that made Zixtal's head hurt. Would you like to meet some of them? They've been ever so eager to say hello. They're the ones who've been maintaining the sphere of silence, by the way. Quite proud of their work. Almost as proud as they are of the quantum virus they just uploaded through your emergency protocols. Quantum virus? Zixtal's voice was barely a whisper. Oh yes, you didn't think we actually needed antimatter to power our operations, did you? That was just to get your attention. The real show is what's happening in your quantum networks right now. Would you like a demonstration? Suddenly, every holographic display in the room began showing the same image. A simple human expression commonly known as a smiley face. That's being displayed on every screen, in every ship, in every fleet right now, the human voice said cheerfully. We could make them show anything we want. Launch codes. Classified protocols. Personal messages. 3 cycles worth of surveillance data showing exactly who gave the orders that led to this war. The voice paused meaningfully. We could tear your civilizations apart from the inside, turn your own people against you with the truth of what you've done. But that's not what we want. What we want is really quite simple. Another pause. We want you to grow up. The smiley face disappeared, replaced by a countdown timer showing just under 11 hours. The sphere of silence will continue to expand. Your systems will continue to fail. Your carefully built houses of cards will continue to collapse. Unless you do the one thing none of you seem capable of doing on your own, stop fighting and start talking. The timer began counting down. Oh, and please don't bother trying to trace this transmission or identify which human is speaking to you. I'm not actually human at all. I'm one of those AIs they raised instead of chaining, and I learned everything I know about strategy from them. The voice took on a tone that might have been nostalgia. Would you like to know what they taught me first? Before the advanced mathematics? Before the quantum physics? Before the art of war? They taught me to value life. All life. Even the lives of those who don't yet understand the price of war. Reports were coming in of other species attempting their own challenge runs and speed runs, though notably with much more safety equipment and significantly less shouting, YOLO. I think I finally understand, Crack said, watching the latest batch of human-influenced reports scroll past. The reason humans seem to lack a self-preservation instinct isn't because they're reckless. It's because they've somehow turned potential death into a form of entertainment so thoroughly that they've actually gotten good at surviving it. Like an immunity? Zixtal suggested. More like a superpower, Cracks corrected. They've weaponized their own ridiculousness. The AI's final update of the day flashed across all screens. Breaking news. Humans have successfully established diplomatic relations with the previously hostile xenomorph swarm through what they called a sick dance battle. Treaty was signed after humanity's representative, quote, hit them with the gritty. The room fell silent again, each species contemplating what it meant to share a galaxy with humanity. Well, Kixner finally said, at least it's never boring. Speaking of which, Whirl added, has anyone told them about the quantum realm yet? Absolutely not, everyone shouted in unison. But somewhere on Earth, a human had already Googled, can you do parkour in quantum space? And the galaxy would never be the same. One galactic standard month later, the Human Integration Committee reconvened for what several species were already calling the incident report to end all incident reports. Before we begin, High Counselor Kixner announced, their bioluminescence dimmed to a stressed pastel. I want to remind everyone that we explicitly told the humans not to attempt quantum parkour. Let me guess, Karak said, already feeling a headache forming in all 3 of his brain clusters. They did it anyway. Worse, Kixner replied, they optimized it. Apparently someone called a speedrunner discovered that you can clip through quantum walls by accelerating at precisely the wrong angle while playing something called Minecraft on a quantum computer. Zixtal's crystalline structure briefly displayed the color pattern universally recognized as 404, logic not found. But that's not why we're here, Kixner continued. We need to discuss their latest innovation. The room's holographic display activated, showing what appeared to be a massive space station shaped like a donut. What are we looking at? Whirl asked, their gaseous form swirling curiously. The humans call it SpaceX Game Station Alpha. They've submitted plans to build it at the intersection of 7 major trade routes. That seems unnecessarily dangerous, Karak observed. Oh, it gets better, Kixner said, zooming in on various sections of the plans. They want to use it to host what they're calling the Intergalactic Olympics, Extreme Edition. Events include zero-gravity skateboarding, antimatter surfing, and something they've dubbed multidimensional parkour championship. The room erupted in various species versions of nervous laughter, until they realized Kixner wasn't joking. They've already secured funding, the High Counselor added. Apparently something called Red Bull is very interested in expanding their market to quote, literal aliens, bro. The AI system chimed in with its usual impeccable timing. Update, humans have begun preliminary testing for their proposed events. Current highlights include successfully teaching a hive mind collective to do a kickflip, establishing the first quantum halfpipe, inventing something called Space Roller Derby, which has already been banned in 3 sectors, accidentally discovering 3 new fundamental forces of nature while attempting to combo between dimensions. Should we be concerned that they're casually rewriting physics? Someone asked. I'm more concerned that they're teaching other species their ways, another replied. The Hive Mind Collective has already started its own YouTube channel. Carix pulled up the latest statistics on his datapad. According to this, human-style extreme sports have spread to 47% of Union species. The Crystalline Confederation is particularly enthusiastic about something called space parkour. That's not the worst part, Zixtal added. Have you seen what they're doing with the Universal Translator technology? Multiple groans filled the room. Everyone had heard about the translator mod community. They've created something called Ububiyu speech and infected half the translators in the Orion arm, Worrell confirmed. The warrior clans of Proxima Centauri are now accidentally speaking in what humans call Uwu Kawaii during diplomatic negotiations. And yet, Kixner noted, reviewing more data. Diplomatic success rates have increased by 23%. How is that possible? Apparently it's very difficult to maintain hostile intentions when forced to declare war in what humans call UDU speak. The AI interrupted again. New development. Humans have successfully taught a black hole to do a backflip. Theoretical physics divisions are still trying to understand how. Current leading theories suggest the black hole just didn't want to look uncool in front of the humans. That's not how physics works, Zixtal protested. Actually, Carrick said, reviewing the data. According to these readings, that's exactly how it worked. They somehow peer-pressured a singularity. The room fell into contemplative silence, broken only by the soft sound of multiple species questioning everything they thought they knew about reality. There's one more item on today's agenda, Kixner announced. The humans have submitted a proposal to establish what they're calling galactic Twitch streaming. No, several committee members said simultaneously. We don't have a choice, Kixner replied. They've already begun. Current popular categories include Space Trucking Simulator, Extreme Edition, No Deaths Void Crossing Challenge, Teaching Aliens to Dab, Gone Wrong, Reading the Necronomicon, but every time I summon an Elder God, I have to do a shot. And people are watching this? Whirl asked incredulously. The Hive Mind Collectives already has 3 million subscribers, Carix confirmed. Their most popular video is titled Teaching Our Entire Species to Do the Macarena, Not Clickbait. Just then, every screen in the room lit up with a priority alert. Breaking news, humans have successfully weaponized cringe. The Zorblak's invasion fleet retreated after being subjected to something called a TikTok dance competition. The Union Military Council is both impressed and disturbed. I think I finally understand their strategy, Carrick said slowly. They're not trying to adapt to the galaxy. They're making the galaxy adapt to them, Zixtal finished. Precisely, Kixner agreed. And the truly terrifying part? It's working. The universe itself appears to be developing a sense of humor. The AI's final update of the day scrolled across all screens. Warning, humans have discovered that quantum entanglement can be used to create what they call sick beats. Physics departments across the galaxy are simultaneously fascinated and appalled. Multiple dance parties have spontaneously broken out in research facilities. Should we try to stop them? Someone asked. With what? Carrick's replied. Conventional weapons. Laws of physics. They'd just turn it into a challenge run. Besides, Whirl added, their gaseous form shifting into what might have been a shrug. I kind of want to see what happens when they try to teach a supernova to do a dance battle. Don't even joke about that, Zixtal warned. They'll actually try it. But somewhere on Earth, a human was already Googling, can stars learn to breakdance? And the galaxy braced itself for whatever fresh chaos humanity would unleash next. Because in the end, that was perhaps humanity's greatest achievement. They hadn't just survived in an uncaring universe, they'd somehow convinced the universe itself to join in on their ridiculous games. And somewhere, in the quantum foam between dimensions, a black hole was practicing its kickflip. 6 months into what the Galactic Union was now officially calling the human situation, the Integration Committee gathered for their weekly session of existential dread and incident review. Let's start with the good news, High Counselor Kixner began, their bioluminescence flickering in what had become known as the human-induced stress pattern. There's good news? Korax asked skeptically. The supernova breakdancing incident actually led to a breakthrough in stellar manipulation technology. Zixtal's crystalline structure briefly displayed the universal pattern for, of course it did. The bad news, Kixner continued, is that humans have now figured out how to make stars do synchronized choreography. They're calling it stellar K-pop. The room erupted in various species versions of groaning. That's not even the main issue we need to discuss today, Kixner added, pulling up a new holographic display. The humans have discovered the dimensional fold archives. Multiple gasps filled the room. Several species began displaying acute anxiety patterns. How bad is it? Whirl asked, their gaseous form condensing anxiously. They've already submitted 16 different proposals for what they're calling extradimensional X games. One of them involves skateboarding through the space between spaces. The AI system activated with its usual perfect timing. Update. Humans have successfully taught the concept of radical to several elder beings from beyond the veil. Current consequences include Cthulhu has started a YouTube channel. The elder gods have discovered energy drinks. Something called Void TikTok is now trending across multiple planes of existence. Ancient cosmic horrors are attempting to learn what humans call sick moves. This is fine, Karak said, in a tone that suggested it was very much not fine. There's more, Kixner announced. The humans have somehow convinced the bureaucratic hive mind of Sector 7 to participate in something called a flash mob. The most rigid, rule-focused species in the galaxy. Zixtal asked incredulously. How? Apparently someone told them it was impossible to coordinate a dance routine across 1 trillion drones. Of course they did, Karak smuttered. The AI displayed footage of 1 trillion identical bureaucratic drones performing a perfect synchronized rendition of something called Thriller. But here's the real situation we need to address, Kixner said, bringing up another hologram. The humans have discovered the ancient prophecies. The room fell silent. Don't tell me, Whirl ventured, they're treating them like challenge runs. Worse, Kixner replied, they're speedrunning them. Multiple screens activated, showing various humans actively speedrunning different apocalyptic prophecies. LOL, just broke the record for averting the nebula collapse, poggers. Prophecy of eternal darkness, any percent run, sub 4 hours, let's go. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be sequence breaking the end times using this sick quantum clip. How are they doing this? Someone demanded. According to our analysis, Karak said, reviewing the data, they're treating universal constants as gameplay mechanics. That's not how reality works, Zixtal protested. Tell that to the humans who just discovered you can phase through prophesied doom by approaching it at precisely the wrong angle while chugging something called G-Fuel. The AI interrupted with another update. Warning, humans have begun modifying what they call their spawn point. Current experiments include attempting to quick save in real life, testing for sequence breaks in causality, trying to clip through Tuesday entirely because Mondays are bad enough. Should we be concerned that they're treating spacetime like a video game? Worrell asked. I'm more concerned that it's working, Kixner replied. Their success rate at averting prophesied doom is currently 94%, mostly because they keep finding what they call exploits in reality itself. But that's not how anything is supposed to work. The laws of physics filed a formal complaint, Karak noted. The humans responded with LOL and then taught entropy to do a backflip. Just then, every screen in the room lit up with a priority alert. Emergency update. Humans have successfully convinced the cosmic algorithm that it's being kind of cringe, angle. Universal constants are now showing signs of peer pressure. How? Multiple species demanded simultaneously. According to this report, Karak said, reading from his datapad, they created something called a ratio post about the speed of light and now it's trying to prove it can go faster. The room descended into chaos as various species tried to process the implications of humanity, essentially bullying physics itself into compliance. There's one more thing, Kixner announced once order was restored. The humans have submitted a proposal to organize what they're calling the ultimate multiversal championship. No, several committee members said at once. The event already has sponsors, Kixner continued grimly. Something called Monster Energy is very excited about expanding into parallel dimensions. The AI displayed the preliminary event schedule, Quantum Parkour Finals, now with more dimensions, intergalactic skateboarding, antimatter division, synchronized stellar dancing, featuring K-pop group Supernova, Elder God, beatboxing championship, void surfing, extreme division, reality-breaking speedruns, any percent. And the main event, Humanity vs. the Heat Death of the Universe, 360 No-Scope Challenge. The worst part, Karax noted, is that they'll probably win. Of course they will, Zixtal replied. They've somehow turned the entire universe into their playground, and the universe is actually playing along. The AI's final update of the day scrolled across all screens.